much do I focus on the breath versus watching body sensations? What do I do when I get distracted? How much do I focus? Well, this question arises because you are not exactly sure what focusing is. You have an idea of what it is, but experientially, it still hasn't sunk in. Rather, it has not become clear as to how important focusing is in meditation. The confusion is really in words. Focus is a word that we use mostly in the outer world. It is to bring your attention to something, to accomplish a task, to get something done. If you're getting distracted in the outer world, it simply means you're unable to focus on the task at hand. And that's where we say, don't get distracted, focus. In a way, what we are saying is, get this done first. Think about other things later. Solve this problem first. And then you can deal with other problems later. That is how we move from one activity to another. In the outer realm, we are basically problem solving. And focus is the narrowing of our attention from all the different images and experiences to the problem at hand. Once we have solved that problem, we move on to something different. So there is no necessity to actually practice focusing in the outer world. You only have to be interested to solve the problem. As long as you are working on the problem, even without your knowledge, you are actually focusing, because the problem is more important than your ability to focus. A man approached Nazaruddin seeking some advice. He said, "Mullah, I am troubled by many worries and problems in life. What should I do?" Nazaruddin thought for a moment and said, "Do you have any other worries?" The man replied, "Yes, I have plenty." Nazaruddin smiled and said, "Then forget about the first one and focus on the others." That is the nature of living. That is how we move from one activity to another. We pick a problem, we solve it, and we are not even aware of this faculty of focusing. We have not trained our abilities to focus. That is why whether an individual is able to focus enough to get a task accomplished depends purely on that individual's level of interest in solving that problem. It has nothing to do with focusing itself. So in a way, we have not understood the nature of focusing. We have not explored it, and we have not developed it as a skill. In the internal realm, in the world of meditation, focus is as important as awareness. In fact, initially, during your early days of meditation, focus is even more important than awareness. Awareness happens naturally, gradually. But focus is something you have to do. There has to be a conscious effort to focus. Now, the problem in the internal world is there is no problem to solve. If you're trying to solve a problem, then you're not meditating. In fact, the meaning of the word meditation is to just be without problem solving. Because in the outer world, all you're doing is problem solving. You're trying to accomplish a task. You're trying to complete something that is incomplete. But the moment you close your eyes and go inward, you have to connect with the completeness that you are. You have to see everything in totality. You have to see your thoughts in totality. You have to see your emotions in totality. You cannot divide yourself. That divide is what you're trying to bridge. And because there is no one specific problem to solve, all you're doing is sitting and watching the breath, or watching your thoughts, or watching the body sensations, which is not a problem to be solved, you find it very hard to focus. Because nothing is drawing your attention. Nothing is keeping you occupied, because your conditioning is deep set on focusing on only those things that require your attention. You have not exercised your choice to focus. For example, have you ever just sat and watched a tree for, let's say, 30 minutes? You've never done it. Why? Because there's no problem to solve there. But that is where you are developing your ability to focus. There is no problem to be solved, but I still want to sit and watch that tree because it's my choice. When you focus consciously by your choice, you're developing it as a skill. But if your focus is drawn by something external, you are not building the skill. Your focusing faculties are linked to something external. So you have to start by realizing, by acknowledging that you are a baby when it comes to the ability to focus. You are a 5-year-old. That is why meditation is hard. In the outer world, you have created an atmosphere that reflects certain parts of you, certain aspects of you that remind you that you are an adult. But the moment you close your eyes, all your pure abilities, your ability to focus, your ability to be aware, your ability to be silent, calm, these things become more important. All that you've accomplished in the outer world is useless. So literally, when you close your eyes, you're not using all your other skills that you've developed. Your ability to focus on a problem is useless in the internal world. So you have to start by knowing that you know nothing about focusing. So it's going to take time to learn the art of focusing. You cannot assume that you know it. Once you acknowledge that you have no idea what focusing is, you will approach it freshly. You will see it from a new perspective. So what exactly is focusing? If it is not problem solving, then what happens during focusing? If you were to simply sit and watch a tree, if you were to simply sit and stare at a blank wall, if you were to simply sit and watch your breath, now how is that helping you? How is that transforming you? How can you trust that process? Because your mind's going to fight with you, and it's going to make you look ridiculous that you're sitting and doing nothing. You're not even focusing, you're just staring at a blank wall, you're just looking at your breath. Focus on something, because the mind's definition of focus is something different. Mind's definition of focus is always interlinked with an activity. Now, here there is no activity, so the mind thinks you're not focusing at all, while in fact you're actually focusing. For the first time, you are developing the ability to focus. So let us try and understand the nature of focusing. Jesus explains this in the parable of the mustard seed. Well, of course, Christianity has interpreted all his parables quite literally and missed the subtle spiritual mystical meaning. Jesus was a meditator. He was a man who had navigated the internal realm of his mind and body, and that is what he was trying to communicate to people. He was just like Buddha, just using different words. And if you interpret his words correctly, you will understand the basic skills, the basic abilities that are necessary for you to deepen your meditation. More than anything else, Jesus was a meditation teacher. So in the parable of the mustard seed, he says, the mustard seed is the smallest of seeds. And yet, when you put it in the ground, it has the potential to become a big plant. From the tiniest of seed, a huge plant emerges, capable of producing infinite such plants. Each mustard seed contains the potential for the entire mustard plant. One small mustard seed represents all the seeds, represents the entire plant, represents all the capabilities of that plant. But it's hidden in the smallest of things, in a tiny seed. You cannot see the plant. But the only way to know what that seed actually is to plant it in fertile ground. That seed is focus. That seed is awareness. Focus is the tiniest of seeds. It takes time for that small seed to sprout and to grow into a big plant. When the seed germinates, when the plant begins to grow, and when it expands, when it blooms and blossoms in its full glory, you are basically experiencing awareness. But what did it start from? It started from focusing. Now, what is the fertile ground for the seed of focus to become awareness? The fertile ground is relaxation. Focus plus relaxation is equal to awareness.